Ukraine is again hitting back against Russia. Moscow claims Kyiv targeted military airfields inside of Russia. 3 people were killed and 6 others were hurt after a fuel truck exploded at one of these bases. Joining us now, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton. He's a former Assistant Vice Chief of Staff in the Air Force. Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us. As always, the Kremlin claims that Ukraine targeted and hit the airfields. These are 300 miles inside of Russia with a series of these drone strikes. Ukraine has not formally claimed any responsibility for the strikes, but I want to play a clip for you from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and what he had to say about the current battle, and then we'll get your response on the back end.
Is the U.S. working to prevent Ukraine from developing its own long-range strike capability? The short answer is no. We're absolutely not doing that.
So not stopping Ukraine from developing long-range capability, helping them is yet to be seen. How will this play in Russia?
Well, good morning, Marni. It's not playing well in Russia. The fact that Ukraine on Sunday and then on Tuesday they launched a third strike at a Russian air base about 50 miles north of the Ukrainian border. It's not playing well. It's showing the capabilities of not only the Ukrainian Air Force in terms of launching and employing these drones, but also shows a lack of air defense capability. That the fact that Ukraine can hit Ingalls Air Base, which is 300 miles northeast of Ukraine, home of their Tu-95 bombers and their Tu-160 bombers. It's incredible. It's like Ukraine or an adversary striking our B-52 bases and our B-1 bomber bases. I've flown out of Ingalls Air Base with the Russian Air Force. So this is significant. And so it's not playing well. And it also shows potentially, as Secretary Austin said, no, we're not supporting them at all. We don't want any expansion outside Ukrainian territory. But nonetheless, the Ukrainians are showing their capability and their reach.
How could this backfire against Ukraine?
It could backfire whereby it raises the potential for an assault from Putin beyond just conventional weapons. He's kept in his playbook that you and I've talked about this for months. The idea of a tactical nuclear weapon is a demonstration. I don't think that's going to happen, but again, he has the potential. Again, Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. So it really does not bode well for Russia, but also it could be precarious for Ukraine if they continue to do these what I would term to be very limited strikes.
You know, you mentioned in some of our notes that you think that Russia and Putin will conduct a spring offensive come 2023. What indicates that may happen to you, and what would that look like?
The indications are the fact that Putin is again on his heels, and he's looking to resupply, reconstitute, refit his forces for that spring offensive. Now, what that spring offensive could look like, say, in March or April of 2023 is to be determined, because he's very low on supply of arms, especially precision weapons. He's very low on supply of men. And as I recall, our 300,000 call-up that he tried to do a couple months or so ago, and he has limited partners to be resupplied. These limited partners would be North Korea, would be Iran, and would be China and so forth. So what that counteroffensive looks like is to be determined, but it's a really tall order for Putin to try to strike a very effective counteroffensive against Ukraine. That said, we'll anticipate that, but in terms of his ability to be effective is still to be determined.
And new this morning, President Zelenskyy of Ukraine has been named Times Person of the Year. So many consider him a hero, not just in Ukraine, but globally, for standing up for democracy, refusing to leave Ukraine. He is also refusing to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Is that the right strategy?
I believe it is, and I believe the Biden administration and the NATO leaders are also supporting that strategy, that he not negotiate with Putin until the terms are set forth. That part of the really main line here of negotiations is that there will be no negotiations until at least the aspect of Russian forces leaving Ukraine is on the table, and that should be the outcome. We should not, I repeat, we should not, we first off support and stand by our Time Man of the Year, as we see on the cover there, but we should also make sure that we support his position that all Russian forces, going back to 2014 when they took Crimea and the eastern area of Donbass, that also all Russian forces leave the territory of Ukraine.
Right. And if Ukraine bends to Russia's demands, there will be no Ukraine left. That has been the sentiment since the beginning of this war. Retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, as always, appreciate your time. Great to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.